I'm Cam Weiland, and welcome to this week's writing Q&A video. This week's question is from Kevin Dalton, who asks, I have yet to reach the finish line on composing a novel. It is my understanding that the first draft, the first version of your story that has any value to anyone other than you, is the first time you coherently tell the story from start to finish. The further implication to me was that since the work will inevitably be transmuted by the requests of editors and publishers, subsequent drafts without their input would be needlessly creating more work for yourself. I would be very interested to know if that assumption is wrong and why. So short answer is that you do want to put in quite a bit of editing generally before you're thinking about sending out to agents and editors, or in the case of self-publishing before hitting the publish button. When it comes to querying agents, the main reason for this is that you have a very small window of opportunity to grab their attention and say, hey, this is worth publishing. They're not necessarily looking for a book that they're going to have to put a lot of work into. They want something that is, from first glance is something that's been polished, something that the author has put the work into and knows what they're doing. Agents are not necessarily there to help you write a better book. They are there to help you get a book that's ready to be published to a publisher who wants it. So if you are desiring to go a traditional route with your stories, it's important that you edit your story as thoroughly as possible and up to the utmost of your capabilities. And that can be a lengthy process depending on, your skill level and the story itself and your experience in writing it. My recommendation is to write the story until you're happy with it and then edit it until you feel like you've got it to be the best that you can make it by yourself. And you may find it really helpful to go through several passes looking at things like story structure and character arc, as well as pacing and prose, dialogue, all of that, just to make sure that it's, at the absolute best that you can make it. And then I recommend getting some eyes on it, sending it to beta readers, sending it to critique partners, and seeing what their unbiased, reaction is to this to kind of get past that inevitably slightly hubristic and certainly self-biased views that we all have around our stories, kind of the rose-colored impressions that we ourselves like to cast upon our writing. So that's a great first step for getting some feedback and seeing how other people might react to it. And there's so many wonderful people out there who do critiques, other writers who, are skilled in their own craft and able to offer, very valuable advice. And then from there, many people will also choose to go the extra step of actually hiring a freelance editor to help them. Now, that isn't necessary, and again, it totally depends on your skill level, obviously your finances to some degree, and just your general desire for the process of the story. But do realize that, for the most part, we generally have one shot with an agent. Obviously, there's many agents, but if they've turned you down, then that's it, So you want to take your shot and have it be, present something that is as good as it possibly can be. Now, that isn't to say that they won't ask for major changes, even if they are interested in the book and do accept it. They might say something like, this is really great, but let's change the ending, or suggest that the ending might be better a different way. But that's just part of the process, storytelling is an ever-evolving thing. There's a saying that no book is ever finished until it's published. But of course, now with self-publishing and such, even that's not true because you can totally change things after you've published it. But yes, I absolutely recommend that you put in the work to thoroughly edit any story that you're wanting to put out there for public consumption, whether it's directly through independent publishing or you're wanting to go that extra step and take it through the gatekeepers of the agents and the editors. Because if you don't, it's kind of like this analogy of you've invited a really fancy, famous chef over to your house so that you can cook this wonderful dinner for him. And he gets there and you've bought all the ingredients, but they're all just sitting there on the cabinet because you're waiting for him to tell you how to make it so you can make him happy. But, he didn't come there to tell you what to do. He came there to see what you could do. And, if he gets hangry, like I do, that's the end of that meeting anyway. So, bottom line is that it is incumbent upon any writer who is desiring to be published to thoroughly edit the heck out of their story before sending it to an agent, or, you know, on the other side of the experience, self-publishing. So that is definitely my advice on that. And if anyone else has a question that you'd like me to ask, or that you'd like me to answer in a future video, just leave that down below. I love to read your comments. And if you'd like to stay connected with me and be notified of all the content I post a lengthy blog post and podcast every Monday on my website, helping writers become authors. And there's lots more content through my mailing list. So if you'd like to stay in touch with me, please stop by the site, sign up for the mailing list, and I hope to see you around.